In May 2022, $40 billion vanished. Over exactly 72 hours, a massive digital fortune disintegrated, leaving behind empty wallets and a broken market. This wasn't a standard market downturn. The losses here eclipsed the combined financial wreckage of FTX, Celsius, and OneCoin. It stands as the largest individual wipeout in the history of cryptocurrency. Understanding how this happened requires looking past the math of the collapse. The breakdown was triggered by code, but it was sustained by a calculated hidden lie told by the man who built it. That man is Kwon. A Stanford computer science graduate, he founded Terraform Labs in Singapore at 27 years old. He presented himself as the architect of a new global financial order, one that would make traditional banks obsolete. Kwon defended his vision with open hostility toward anyone who questioned the project's stability. When one analyst pointed out the system's risks on social media, Kwon dismissed the critique, replying, "I don't debate the poor." This posture of absolute certainty found a massive audience. To the million retail investors watching him online, Kwon looked like a genius who had finally solved the volatility of crypto. They bet their life savings on that image. At the center of this empire was Terra USD, or UST. It was an algorithmic stablecoin, a digital currency programmed to stay at exactly $1. But unlike traditional stablecoins, it didn't hold actual cash reserves. Its value relied on a mathematical relationship with a sister token, Luna. If UST dropped below $1, traders could burn the coin to mint Luna, rebalancing the supply and restoring the peg. To attract capital, Kwon launched the Anchor protocol. It functioned like a high-yield savings account, promising a 20% annual return on UST deposits. Despite warnings that the math was unsustainable, the high yield drew in billions of dollars from ordinary investors. This entire financial structure was built on a knife's edge. The mechanism only functioned as long as the market believed the Luna token had value. If that faith broke, the entire system would follow. The system faced its first critical test in May 2021, a year before the crash. Amid a market dip, UST slipped below its $1 peg. Kwon immediately reassured the public, announcing that the automated protocol had successfully auto-corrected the deviation. He told investors the algorithm had worked exactly as designed. Prosecutors later proved that statement was a lie. The algorithm hadn't fixed the problem. Behind the scenes, Kwon had secretly arranged for a high-frequency trading firm to manually inject millions of dollars to prop up the price. Because Kwon hid this manual bailout, investors stayed in the project. They believed they were using a system that had survived a major stress test, unaware that it actually required secret, manual intervention to stay alive. This deliberate concealment of the 2021 failure became the cornerstone of the fraud case against him. It transformed a market collapse into a criminal act, leading directly to a 15-year federal sentence. In early May 2022, massive withdrawals hit the Anchor protocol, pushing UST below its dollar peg once again. This time, the algorithm responded with a hyperinflationary loop, minting trillions of new Luna tokens in a futile attempt to defend the price. As supply exploded, the value plummeted. In 72 hours, Luna crashed from $80 to worthless numbers on a screen. $40 billion vanished. Instead of being siphoned into a vault, the value reached zero through the sheer weight of its own hyperinflationary logic, annihilated by the very system designed to protect it. After the crash, Kwon's public behavior remained defiant. He was photographed at upscale restaurants in Singapore and gave interviews about launching a new token, seemingly unbothered by the life savings his investors had lost. When authorities issued an arrest warrant, he fled. He moved across 3 continents using forged travel documents until police finally intercepted him at an airport in Montenegro in March 2023. While Kwon was evading the law, his victims were speaking out. The court received 315 impact letters, detailing evaporated retirements and broken families. 6 of those letters described individuals who had contemplated suicide after losing everything. The calculated detachment Kwon displayed during his dinner meetings in Singapore stood in stark contrast to the human reality of a million ordinary people who had bet their futures on his lies. In December 2025, the case reached its end in a Manhattan federal court. After weighing the skittle of the damage, Judge Paul Engelmayer called the scheme a fraud on an epic generational scale. The judge handed down a 15-year federal sentence. He rejected the prosecution's request for 12 years as too lenient, given that 40 billion real dollars had been taken from real people. Even after his American sentence, Kwon faces more legal battles. South Korean prosecutors are prepared to pursue their own charges, seeking a separate sentence of up to 40 years. Code executes exactly what it is told to do, regardless of the consequences. But as Kwon begins his 15-year term, the wall between digital experiments and real-world criminal liability has been reinforced with a $40 billion precedent.